And I knew if I knew myself, I was going to want to have that potential to move up within my career. And for me, that meant you had to have your master's degree.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another video of Tea Time with Letitia. It's me, Letitia, and in today's video, I am drinking a tea blend. This is Nighttime by Pukka, and it has a lot of different things in it. So just to name a couple, there's licorice root, chamomile flower, lavender flower, valerian root, and also lime flower. Most of these I have not heard of. But two things that I looked up online, just looking at the ingredients that this tea can be beneficial with helping in, is that the licorice root helps to soothe gastrointestinal problems and it helps to restore the gut balance. And then the valerian root cures insomnia and nervous tension caused by anxiety. So I think that this is probably just a good tea in general, not just for nighttime. So if you find it online, definitely try it and let me know what you think. In today's video, I have a special guest and I'm going to let her introduce herself and her tea.
All right, my name is Harmony Hunt. So happy to be here today. And the tea I have is called Splendid Oolong tea. I actually hadn't heard about it until recently, but it is an Asian style tea and it helps with balance. And there's also, I have two types of oolong. I have this Splendid Oolong, but then I also have a slumber oolong. And so they both have caffeine, obviously, because they're both tea. But I think that this Splendid Oolong, and it is organic, can be drank throughout the day also. So I enjoy it after I work out, like after like an evening workout or just before I go to bed sometimes. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. I don't think that I drink oolong tea often, actually. So I may go and try some now just because of that.
Yes.
So in today's video, I wanted to talk a bit about the transition from undergrad to graduate school. And I feel Harmony is a great place to start with it.
Well, thank you. Okay, so yes, I went to undergrad and graduate school, my master's degree in education, curriculum and instruction, to be specific, with a focus on language and literacy. And I'm currently a fourth grade teacher. And so I had a little bit of an unconventional experience going from undergrad to graduate school. At TCU, where I went to college in Fort Worth, Texas. They had a program called 4-1, which basically you have to apply to be in 4-1 during your junior year of college. And if you're accepted into the college, then you can start your graduate degree plan your senior year as an undergraduate student. And so I was really excited. I got into the program. It's very competitive to get into. I also got into the program to be a graduate assistant to 2 professors. So when I was doing graduate school programs and undergraduate school work, a lot of my colleagues had a lot less of a stressful schedule, which for me was hard because I never really had a break, so to speak, because I worked continuously from all the way from freshman year in high school all the way through college. I took classes every summer in college, and then now my senior year, I'm taking a full-time senior load, student teaching, and a full-time graduate student load. So it was a lot.
Wow. Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Two things came to mind. The first one was, so you said you were a graduate assistant for 2 professors?
Mm-hmm.
Is that common? I know at Penn State, typically they'll sign one student to one professor to be a graduate assistant or a TA, but to hear that you were for 2 professors, is that common for your institution or?
It depends. So they have different kinds of TA programs. The program I was in, I wanted to basically get free tuition and then also a stipend. And so that's why I had two. You could just have had one, but then you wouldn't have gotten that stipend every month kind of thing. So I wanted like no student debt at all. And so that's why I did it that way. So,
Okay, that sounds very beneficial and makes
yeah.
a lot of sense now.
Yeah, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
Also private university. And so, tuition is very expensive. So,
yeah. And then the other question that I had, so you were doing a lot. What was the motivation behind, being a senior in undergrad and doing graduate school and TAing for two professors? You just said one of them was money. You wanted to get the stipend as well as have your tuition paid. Did you have any other motivators?
Yes. So I always loved education and making a difference in the lives of adults and children. And so that's why I got into teaching, which is what I do now. However, I knew at some point I needed flexibility because with a bachelor's in education, you can only do so much within that program, unfortunately. Even being a school counselor or a school principal, you have to have your master's degree. And I knew if I knew myself, I was going to want to have that potential to move up within my career. And for me, that meant you had to have your master's degree. And even if I decided not to teach again, I needed to have a master's degree to be in education in anything. If I wanted to write curriculum, if I wanted to design, instructional lesson plans, if I wanted to work at the administration building of a school district, I have to have my master's degree. So with a bachelor's degree in education, for me, it meant I was limited. And so that's why I knew I wanted my master's degree so that I had more options. So that was my motivating factor for me, was to have more options down the road.
Wow. I think that is great that at that stage, right, you were thinking about like, what would my options be with this degree? I definitely did not. As I was going through my process from undergrad to grad, I knew that I was interested in science. I kind of knew that I wanted just to continue to go to school because I liked school, but I cannot say that the idea of how far can I go with this degree came to mind. So kudos to you for thinking that. Like, was that just a natural thing? Did you have guidance on that?
I've always been, well, thank you, first of all, but I've always been very future minded. Like I always think, okay, what's my next step? After this, what am I going to do next? After this, what am I going to do next? So I always kind of have like a 4 to 5 year plan for my next part of my life. So I knew I wanted to get my master's degree when I was in high school. Like I knew that was something I wanted to do. That's something I needed to do for myself because I would say I'm a pretty ambitious person and I like change. I like being challenged. I like, I don't know, I like new challenges. And so for me, I knew that was something I was going to want to do. And I've always been told just to get out of the way, just go straight from your bachelor's degree, start your master's degree, because once you start working and then you start settling down and having a house and maybe having kids one day, it's going to be more difficult. It's not impossible, but it'll be more difficult. And so I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way, get this done. I know I'll need it later. So that's my motivation for why I decided to do all of that. And it was hard. And with all of that, my senior year, I even studied abroad for a semester while also in grad school, while also having a senior load. And there were times where it was difficult for me because, studying abroad, you have a lot of interesting cultural experiences, meeting new people and trying new foods and sightseeing. And some of my colleagues that were in my study abroad program that were also seniors had the leisure to do more because they didn't have to come back to their apartment and do grad school work, like researching, analyzing data, writing, reading. Like I did have to manage my time, which was difficult sometimes because it's easy to just like, oh, well, I'll do this later. But like being a graduate student, as you know, is you don't have time to do things later. Like you might be in class less, but you're you're supposed to do more outside of class for that reason. And it's all completely led on your own. But, you know, you have advisors. But I think what really helped me get through all of that, and amongst all of that, I didn't even mention this, but amongst all of that, my father did pass away in January of my senior year. So before graduation, essentially, of my college career, before my undergraduate graduation. And so that was also difficult. I was his only child. My dad never remarried after my parents divorced. And so with that said, I had to make a decision on my own when he was really sick in the hospital. And I went up there every single day, and he was just progressively getting worse. And that on top of what I had to deal with school, it was just a lot. And thankfully, you know, he lived nearby where I lived, and my mom also lived nearby, so she could be with me at the hospital. And my now husband, which was at the time my boyfriend, was able to console me during all this, because it was just a lot. It was a lot. And before that time, I'd never even had an anxiety attack before at all. And then, so yeah, it was difficult. But you know, what really helped me was just having strong friendships, having people I could talk to, people that were going through what I was going through, not specifically in every way, people that were relating to me as far as the workload, can understand. You know, having my strong family foundation has helped. My mom was there for me when I needed someone to talk to or be there for me. And like I said, my relationship with my husband, when we were just dating, he was very supportive. When I couldn't even drive to the hospital, he would drive me, because I was just too hysterical to drive sometimes, because I would get calls in the middle of the night and you have to go over there. But anyway, so I think that, you know, those strong relationships really helped me. So having someone that you can just talk to that understands, even like as a sounding board, maybe they don't understand what you're saying, but just having someone as a sounding board just to listen to you and just acknowledge your feelings really helps me, because I'm a person that likes to talk and I have lots to say. And so my emotions, I process through what I say, through talking. And I would even suggest even therapy. Like, I've done that before. I've done that many times throughout college, just because I have so many thoughts in my head all the time. And I need someone to just be like a non-judgmental, unbiased sounding board, just to listen and just kind of be there just to listen without judgment. So yeah, I would say what helped me in graduate school the most was having those strong relationships, family relationships, friendships, and then managing my time, because there were times where I would just work all day, all night, and that's not good for you. You need to be physical. You need to go outside. You need to connect with people. You need to get out of your office, or you're off your couch or whatever, and go somewhere. Because as a teacher, what I've learned as a teacher is when you teach like fourth graders all day, they're not going to be listening after the second or third hour, because they're just clocked out. That's all they can retain after a certain amount of time. So what we started doing at my school is doing what are called brain breaks, which is like kind of like a break up throughout the day to give the kids time to retain what they've learned, absorb it, digest it through breaks, through going outside, through socializing with their friends, through just play. Because even though children need play, adults need their own version of play. And I think that in graduate school, it's easy to just say, I'll just do this real quick and get this done, but then it turns into an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later. And so I would say, do what you enjoy. When you feel stressed out, get a little bit of work done, and then take a break and then come back, because you're going to feel burned out. And one thing I experienced also was lack of sleep, which I think everyone in graduate school does. And so what I would do is I would work and work and work, and then I would sleep for like 2 hours, and I'd get up, do some more work, sleep for 2 or 3 hours, get up, do more work, because you just constantly have these things you're trying to do, whether it's annotating research, reading research, writing what your research has said, turning, different submissions in to prepare for your thesis to your advisor. There's just nonstop work, which like I am so grateful I went to graduate school, because if I do decide to have a different career path, I have more opportunities now. But when you are in grad school, it is a lot and it is intense. So like I said, overall, I would say allow yourself to have play breaks or brain breaks. Do things that you enjoy, even if that's just going on your balcony and having a cup of coffee or some tea in your living room, or it's going for a jog, or it's seeing some friends for lunch, just to socialize and let your brain take a break and just retain. And then, like I said, having those strong relationships, and then sleep, because I've been doing a lot of research on sleep, because one thing I have a hard time with is sleeping throughout the night, even now. So like I'll go to bed like 10:30, 11. I'll wake up at like 3 or 4 for no reason. Like I'll just be up. I'll be on my phone. I'll be looking at Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or LinkedIn or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh, I'll just do it until I fall asleep. But that actually makes you stay awake. And so when your brain sees light, it's thinking, oh, I need to stay awake. I need to be alert. And that's counterproductive than what you're trying to do, which is to fall asleep. And so I have started a habit just recently where my phone is away, like in the bathroom charging at night, so that I can't even look at it, even if I want to, at 3, 4 in the morning when I wake up. And I'm forced to just lay in the dark and try to sleep. And I have actually done that, and it's gotten a lot better for me. So I feel like a lot of graduate students have that same problem, is they don't establish a healthy sleeping routine. And that's something that you have to get established, because you need sleep. You're not going to learn, you're not going to be successful, you're not going to be as productive as you would like off of no sleep or minimal sleep or broken sleep. It's not going to help. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, no, you have just like gone through the entire span of graduate school. Pretty much everything that you have said has resonated with me in my experience as a graduate student. I have not lost one of my parents, so I cannot attest to that. But as far as just sleeping routines, having those breaks in between things, you think something will take an hour or 2 and then you'll stop or move on to something else, but then that 1 or 2 hours turn into 3 or 4 and you're still working and you haven't gotten up. Like, yeah, through experiences, not necessarily communicating and having all of these tips laid out like you just did, I've learned though through different ways, all the things that you've just said. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you so much for.
I'm glad I could share my experience, because looking back, I finished grad school 4 years ago, but looking back, I was like, whew, I wish I had done things a little bit different. And like, it was a great experience for me. I learned a lot about myself. I learned about, what it takes to be working in higher education, which I'm actually interested in that potentially one day. I've worked with different kinds of people, which I'm really grateful for that. But like attesting to what you were saying, there's things that I had to just kind of go through and experience and kind of figure it out as I was going along, that I can look back now and say, okay, here's how not to have that happen again. Like, here's how not to keep that, those not so great habits from happening for future graduate or current graduate students, or undergraduate students for that matter, because undergraduate's not easy necessarily either. So
thank you so much once again for all this information and for being a guest on my YouTube channel and Tea Time with Letitia.
Thanks for having me. It's been so much fun.
Tea Time with Letitia is a segment of Gratified Grad where we discuss topics affecting graduate students. For more information on how you can graduate with gratification, click the link which can be found in the description box. Thanks for listening. What's